All right, fellow strategists and architects of tomorrow? You've heard it your entire life, right? That laser-focused tendency to analyze and strategize often gets labeled as distant or cold. But what if it's not a flaw? What if it's the sign of a profound, ancient legacy within you? Before history was written, there was Atlantis. Not just a myth, but, if legends hold true, the ultimate INTJ society. A civilization of masterminds who didn't just predict the future, they engineered it. They operated with a foresight that makes modern planning look like a child's sandcastle. These legendary architects mastered 7 foundational principles that have since been forgotten. These aren't just dusty anecdotes. This is a living blueprint, a practical guide for your relentless quest for competence and clarity. They are designed to empower the strategic genius churning within you. Today, we're pulling back the veil and revealing all 7. Get ready to unlock a part of yourself you might not have known was there. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you're hungry for more systems thinking videos, the kind that feed your inner mastermind, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. The algorithm will know to keep sending you this good stuff. Let's keep your strategic brain well fed. Now, let's dive. Let's start with a foundational truth. Atlantis, according to old texts, didn't just happen. It began as a vision, a meticulously planned harbor city in perfect concentric rings. Every canal width, every wall height, it was all calculated for centuries in advance. This wasn't ego. It was pure systems architecture. The Atlanteans treated their geography like a grand chessboard, playing 30 moves out. This is your native language. You run complex scenario trees before your first cup of coffee, constantly simulating futures and building contingency plans. Your introverted intuition is already primed for this. The lesson, then, is simple yet profound. Write the final scene first. Whether you're architecting software, crafting an investment portfolio, or designing your life, start with the end state specifications. What does success look like? What are the measurable criteria that definitively tell you, I've arrived? Once you have that crystal clear picture, you reverse engineer the milestones. You break the grand vision into actionable steps. Your brain is already running these simulations. Give it a blueprint to iterate against. This isn't about rigidity. It's about having a North Star that guides every decision. It allows your intuition to work with purpose. Here's a practical step for tonight. Pick one significant 10-year goal. Draft its spec sheet. What are the non-negotiable, measurable criteria that prove you've achieved it? Be specific. Don't just say be successful, define what that means to you. Then, work backward in 5-step increments. What are the 5 major phases to reach that 10-year mark? And the 5 steps within each of those phases? This exercise provides a filter. When distractions pop up, you can ask, does this move me to the next concentric ring of my vision? If the answer is no, you cut it, ruthlessly. Vision without a blueprint is just daydreaming. Atlantis didn't just dream, it engineered reality. So can you. Now, the flip side of brilliance. Atlantis was said to possess an astonishing power grid fueled by crystals, an elegant, seemingly perfect energy source. But in the myth, the insatiable greed for more power is what ultimately cracked the system, flooding the continent and bringing it crashing down. This resonates with the INTJ psyche. We adore optimization. We thrive on finding the most efficient path. Yet, every optimization carries potential externalities. There are consequences that ripple far beyond the immediate scope. Lesson 2 is critical. Treat ethics as a load-bearing wall, not a coat of paint. Ethics aren't an afterthought. They are the structural integrity of any system you build. Before you deploy that next brilliant idea, you must run a second-order analysis. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Who suffers if this succeeds? What are the unintended consequences? Who might be marginalized by this progress? A powerful tool for this is a regret minimization matrix. List key stakeholders across the top: individuals, groups, future generations. Down the side, map out time horizons: immediate, short-term, 1 to 5 years, and long-term, 20+ years. For each potential outcome, score the possible harm to each stakeholder at each time horizon, from 0, no harm, to 5, catastrophic harm. If any cell hits a 4 or 5, you redesign. You find a better way. Consider Tesla open-sourcing their patents. It seemed counterintuitive giving away IP. But their long-term, ethical calculus told them that fostering an entire ecosystem of electric vehicle innovation would accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, a gain that massively outweighed the short-term loss. Here's a practical step. The next time you script a killer automation at work, don't just celebrate the efficiency. Seek out the junior employee whose job might be altered or obsoleted. Talk to them. Understand their concerns. Then, intentionally build in a reskilling pathway. Design a solution that elevates rather than diminishes. Competence without conscience is the fastest route to system collapse. Let's tackle a big one: emotions. Plato wrote that Atlantean priests spent 7 years in profound silence. They were learning to hear the music of the spheres, a poetic way of saying they were meticulously tuning their inner instruments. They weren't ignoring their internal world. They were mastering it. For many INTJ, the default is to label emotions as noisy data. They're illogical and interfere with our analytical processes, so we dismiss them. But Atlantis viewed emotional literacy as essential tech stack maintenance. They understood that a truly optimized individual required a finely tuned internal landscape. Your tertiary introverted feeling function isn't a weakness. It's an upgrade waiting to happen. The goal isn't to become sentimental. The goal is strategic, preventing critical blind spots that, if ignored, can topple empires. The myth suggests Atlantis fell when its leaders stopped listening to these subtle internal signals. Here's a practical step. Schedule a nightly, emotional defrag. For 5 minutes, sit quietly and name the feelings you experienced that day. Not judge them. Just name them. I felt frustration when that meeting went off track. I felt joy when I solved that complex problem. Research shows this simple act of affect labeling significantly reduces amygdala arousal, which translates to clearer, more objective strategic thinking. It lowers the internal noise. To speak your love language of numbers, pair this with biodata. Track your heart rate variability, HRV, or sleep scores. You'll see how your emotional state impacts your mental performance. Treat your emotions like debug logs. Scan them, interpret the signals, patch the issues, and recompile for optimal performance. This is about becoming more strategically intelligent by integrating all your data points. The Atlanteans were masters of elegant systems. Their legal code was reputedly carved on orichalcum and contained precisely 1,024 ordinances, an early form of elegant code. Their engineers could triangulate latitude with sundials with astounding precision. They knew how to take a chaotic world and distill it into predictable, actionable order. This is what an INTJ lives for: turning chaos into clean, functional systems. We see patterns where others see noise. We instinctively seek the underlying logic. Lesson 4 is a rallying cry for your genius. Every complex field is just a few variables away from clarity. The trick is finding them. Embrace the 80-20 fractal. Map out every factor in your complex problem. Then, rank them by impact. Which 20% of these factors are responsible for 80% of the outcomes? Once identified, focus your formidable analytical power on that critical 20%. Iterate recursively on those levers. Don't get bogged down in the other 80%. Think of Amazon's famous flywheel. It's a marvel of simplicity that underpins a multi-trillion-dollar empire. Selection drives traffic, which attracts sellers, which lowers prices, which attracts more traffic, demanding more selection. A self-reinforcing loop. One diagram, trillions in value. Your task is to build your own flywheel for whatever problem you're solving. And here's the critical constraint. Write it on a single page. If it spills over, you haven't found the core lever yet. This forced simplification is where true insight emerges. Complexity is intimidating only until you draw the diagram. Once you identify the core variables, the world snaps into order. Atlantis wasn't a monolith. The myths describe a federation of 10 kingdoms, allied by a common code, but ruled independently. This allowed for diverse problem-solving while sharing core protocols and collective wisdom. It was a brilliant balance. Let's be honest. INTJ prize autonomy. We prefer to work alone, perfecting ideas in quiet solitude. There's power in that. But total isolation starves your intuition of vital raw data. It leads to tunnel vision and solutions that are brilliant in theory, but brittle in practice. Lesson 5 is about finding that Atlantean balance. Design a loosely coupled social architecture for your life. This isn't about becoming a social butterfly. It's about cultivating a small, high-quality network of intellectual allies. Seek out 2 to 4 individuals who genuinely challenge your thinking, but respect your need for deep work. The key is asynchronous communication. Forget draining meetings. Embrace long-form emails to articulate complex thoughts. Use voice notes to convey nuance without pressure. This allows for deep collaboration that respects your solitude. When you do connect in real time, set explicit sync windows, a pre-scheduled monthly call or a coffee chat. Research shows small, high-trust networks outperform large, shallow ones for true innovation. Think of it like Git. You have local branches where you code and experiment uninterrupted. When you're ready, you push to the remote repository for review and integration. Independence and collaboration aren't opposites. They are orthogonal axes. You can have both. Atlantis proved federated independence scales to a civilization. Your personal federated network can scale your impact. Imagine the Atlanteans. Their texts were said to house maps of distant stars alongside diagrams of human neurology. Their culture didn't just tolerate polymathy, it rewarded it. They understood that true wisdom comes from connecting disparate fields. As INTJ, we have a powerful drive to chase competence, but there's a danger: depth without breadth. Becoming so specialized that we miss the cross-pollination that fuels innovation. Lesson 6 is a vital safeguard against stagnation. Schedule quarterly skill sprints. This isn't about a new career. It's about intentional bursts of learning. Pick a micro skill completely outside your domain: basic joinery, celestial navigation, or Morse code. For 30 days, immerse yourself. Dedicate a non-negotiable block of time daily. And because we love data, track your metrics. These sprints keep your cognitive machinery plastic, preventing mental rigidity. They force you to learn new frameworks. Most importantly, they feed your intuition with diverse data, sparking incredible cross-domain analogies. the jet fuel of breakthrough insights. Think of Leonardo da Vinci. He rotated between art, engineering, anatomy, and invention. Insights from dissecting a body informed his architecture. His studies of fluid dynamics influenced his painting. This constant cross-pollination birthed ideas centuries ahead of their time. Make learning a non-negotiable budget line in your life. When the continent sinks, when your industry shifts, when your skills become obsolete, it's the polymath who has the diverse knowledge to build a new boat. Adaptability is a cultivated survival mechanism. We now arrive at the final Atlantean maxim, supposedly recorded on a single surviving pillar. Let your work speak in whispers louder than bronze trumpets. This is the essence of INTJ leadership. We don't crave the limelight or applause. What fuels us is impact. A deep, undeniable, lasting impact. Lesson 7 is your ultimate directive. Optimize for legacy, not fleeting ego boosts. Build systems designed to outlive you. Open source your code. Write comprehensive playbooks. Document every process and rationale. A well-written standard operating procedure has a far higher ROI for an INTJ than any TED talk. It's about putting your genius into the fabric of reality. Quiet leadership means succession planning. You're not building a personal fiefdom, you're building a resilient system. Train at least one successor at all times. Empower them. Share your knowledge and strategic frameworks. True power isn't being irreplaceable. It's building something so robust that it continues to generate value long after you've moved on. Think of Tim Berners-Lee giving away the World Wide Web. He decentralized it. In doing so, he secured a legacy that dwarfs that of most founders. He built a system that continues to create value globally every second. That's the Atlantean ideal. So ask yourself weekly, if I were to vanish tomorrow, would the system I've built, my project, my team, my family's well-being, keep functioning effectively? If the answer is yes, you've achieved the ideal. You've anchored your power not in ego, but in profound, lasting service. There you have them. 7 lessons unearthed from a civilization that engineered utopia. 7 principles that speak to the core of who you are as an INTJ. The architect's vision, engineering your destiny by starting with the end. Ethical load-bearing, building your brilliance on a foundation of conscience. Self-mastery, tuning your inner instruments instead of dismissing their signals. Order from complexity, distilling chaos into elegant, actionable systems. Federated independence, building powerful networks without sacrificing autonomy. Polymathic learning, the relentless pursuit of knowledge to stay adaptable. Quiet legacy, leading with impact and leaving a legible mark on the world. Master these, and you won't just navigate our chaotic world. You will become the calm, strategic force who doesn't just react to the future, but actively designs the next, better iteration of society itself. Which of these lessons is your current missing variable? Drop a comment below with the number and your plan to integrate it. And if this channel helps you forge theories into real-world strategies, do one last favor. Subscribe and share this video with that other INTJ in your life, the one who sends you brilliant 3 a.m. improvement plans. Together, we can engineer a future that is competent, ethical, and quietly unstoppable.